Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're Masech the Sotah Daf Yud. We are going to begin on the top of Yud Amud Aleph, continuing to discuss the story of Shimshon, which is here the fifth line. The pasuk says, "Vayikra Shimshon el Hashem." So he called out to Hashem, "Vayomer Hashem Elokim Zachreni na, please remember me, v'chaskeni na, and please give me strength." Acha pamazet, just this one time. V'i nakma nakam achas mishnei einai miplishtim, so that I may take revenge from one of my two eyes upon the Pelishtim. So Omer Shimshon Lifnei Kodesh Baruch Hu Ribono Shel Olam. What exactly was he saying? Zachali esrim u'shtayim shan. Remember the 20 or possibly 22 years. Do you see it's brought down over here? The Rashba, whether or not the word shtayim is true, but definitely for 20 years, shafadti as Israel. Now, Shimshon was a shofet. That's why he's in Sefer Shoftim. He was a judge. V'lo amarti l'echad mehem. He never said to any of the people, haverli makel memakom memakom, that you should carry my staff from place to place, which basically means that he never asked anyone to do anything for him. Says Rashi, Nikoim achas mishnei einai, sachar achas me'einai tainli ba'nakamazu. The reward for one of my eyes, give to me this revenge. U'schar acheres olam haba. And the other eye, that he should be rewarded in the world to come. The fact that he lost his eyes. Then the pasuk says, Vayelech Shimshon, so Shimshon went, Vayilkod sholosh mios shualim, which is, again, this was not when he was in captivity and he finally was given the strength one last time to destroy the temple where the Pelishtim were, but here is when he was, Shimshon came and he captured 300 fox, and he tied torches to them, and he let them go, which is how there was a massive fire. So my shana shoalim. Why were it foxes? Why was that what was the animal of choice? Omer Rabbi Ibu bar Nagde. Omer Avchi bar Rabba. Omer Shimshon. Shimshon said, Yabami shechayzel acharav. Let the animal that is chayzer, that goes backwards, that says Rashi kishisadanaiso eno livroyach el chayzer akalkolis. It doesn't run, but rather goes back in like an angle. So let these animals that back up, and let them pay back the Pelishtim who backed out of their shvua, of their oath. Tanya Omer of Shimon HaChassid, being safe of Shimshon. Shimshon was so strong that his shoulders were shishim alma, 60 amos. Does that literally mean 60 amos? Probably not, but it means that they were enormous. Haya. Shnemer v'yishkav Shimshon ad chatzi halayla. So Shimshon lied down until half the night. V'yakom b'chatzi halayla, got up half the night. V'yechais b'dalases shar ha'ir, and he grabbed hold onto the doors of the gate of the city. U'shtei hamezuzos, and the two doorposts. V'yisa'im im habriach, and he pulled them out from with the crossbar. V'yosem al kseifav, and he put it on his shoulders. How did he put it on his shoulder? It must be because his shoulders were 60 amos, because the doors of Azza were not less than 60 amos. Then the pasuk says, "Vayhi toichin bebeis asurim." So what does that mean? Rav Yochanan ein tchina el loshen avera. Tchina, which means grinding, but in this context, it's referring to sin. V'cheinu oimer tidchan la'acher ishti, that person sinned by going after another woman. Every person brought their wives to the jail, so that he would be able to be with them and she would get pregnant from them. So that's what it means by that there were these women that were brought to the jail. Amar Papa Hinder Ami Inshi Kamei Shasi Chamra Kamei Refoika Geridya Duvla. So they say that before a donkey drinks, give wine, says Rashi, lifnei kol adam mevian mashu ragel boy. Give them that which they're accustomed, which namely is garidoi duvla, which is vegetables. Says Rashi, lifnei oived adama v'chayfer begina is shiragel echel yarak. Since they're accustomed to eat vegetables, mevian sal male yarak, give a basket full of vegetables. Duvle is min yarku, it's a type of a vegetable. So he's saying that in front of, before you give someone wine, you should give them something that they're accustomed to having. The Rabbi Yochanan, kol hamazaneh, anyone who has nus, ishtu mizanenes olav, his wife is mizaneh. Shenemar im tifta libi al isha, if a woman, if you seduce my heart, al isha, v'al pesach rei orvasi, in the opening of my friend, my neighbor, I ambushed. Uksiv tidchan le'acher ishti, v'aleha yichrun acherim. Behind the army inches, what people say, ihu beikari v'isase beibutzine, which this is also Gemara brought down by Megillah, that Achashverosh was in Znus, but so was Zeresh. She was no better, because he had large pumpkins and she also consumed gourds. So that's the idea. It says Rashi, min echad hu el she'enu gedolim ve'elu katanim, one's bigger, one's smaller, but they were both Isaac in the same business, same Isser. So it's possible, again, in the event that a person is mizana, it may also show that there's an issue in the relationship and his wife is probably doing the same thing. V'yam Rav Yochanan Shimshon don es Yisrael ka'Avraham kavim shemat shemayim, that Shimshon judged the people in Klal Yisrael just like Hashem. Shnemer don yodin almo ka'achad v'goymer. Omer Rav Yochanan Shimshon al Shmoy shel Kodesh Baruch Hu nikra. Shimshon was called in some level the name of Hashem. Shnemer ki shemesh hu magin Hashem elokim v'goymer. So Shemesh, Rashi says, is Lashon Chayma, is a language of a wall. Kamo v'samti kaladoid. So al Shmoy shel Kodesh Baruch Hu mashmesh shchinaso b'Shmoy shel Kodesh Baruch Hu mamish. El miata lo yimoche. So until, that means if you have Shimshon's name, you can't erase it because it's like Hashem's name. El me'ein Shemo shel Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's comparable. It's not exact. Shein shemesh shemamish el megin umatzil. Just like the sun protects and saves and helps, so that's what Shimshon was, like the shemesh. But it doesn't mean that it's mamish Shemo shel Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's me'ein. Ma Kodesh Baruch Hu megin al kol oyam kula. Hashem protects the whole world. Av Shimshon megin b'dor shel al Yisrael. That's what Shimshon did as well. That's what it refers to. The Yomer Rav Yochanan Bilam chiger baragloi achas hoya. Bilam ben Beor, he was actually lame in one of his legs. Shenemar vayelech shefi, that he used to walk slowly. Shimshon chiger b'shtei ragloi hoya. Shimshon, interestingly enough, he was lame in both legs. Shenemar shefifoin, not shefi, but shefifoin ali oirech, that he was like slithering upon the road, and therefore we see the fact that it says Shefi regarding Bilam, so the fact it says Shefifoin Ali Darech, we're going to say it's alluding to Shimshon. Tanrabanan. Chamisha Nibru Me'ein Dugma Shel Maila. There are 5 people that were created in an unusual way. In a, Rashi says Nishtanu, in a special, unique way. They had great qualities. They're cool and Lokabehen. But all of them were, their downfall was from the very thing that they were given, which was special. So sometimes we're going to see from this that your greatest strength could become your worst weakness. Shimshon b'koichai, Shimshon with his strength, Shaul b'tzavarai, Shaul with his neck, Avshalom b'tzara, Avshalom his hair, Sidkia b'einav in his eyes, and Asa b'raglov. So what is this? So Shimshon b'koichai, the pasuk says, V'yasar koicha me'olav. It says that he basically he lost his strength. We know that Shimshon was strong and he lost his strength. Shaul b'tzavara, dechsev yika Shaul es hacherev, that Shaul took a sword, yipa oleha, and he fell upon it. So even though he was very tall, he was heads and shoulders above everyone else, nonetheless, he ended up falling. Avshalom Batsarai, come on, like we mentioned, we're going to say later on, which actually we saw this before, that Avshalom, because his hair was beauty, so he ended up dying by being hung by his hair. Sidkia be'enav, Sidkia had great vision. Rashi says, Liyadana minolan, dinishtana l'shavach. We don't know where this is found. V'chein asa baraglav elokein shama marabo. I also don't know that Asa, how do we see about his great walking or running ability, but nonetheless, that's what he learned from his teacher. The eyes of Sidkiyahu became blinded. And Asa baraglav, when he got older, his legs weakened. The Omer Rabbi Yehuda Amarav she'achaztai pedagra, that he had this illness of gout. Amar le mar zutra bered Rav Nachman hechidami podagra. What exactly and how do we understand the pain of gout? Amalei kamachad babasar chai. It's as painful as sticking needles into your flesh. That's how painful gout can be. So Mana Yada, how do you know? That he suffered from this very ailment. The Ikadi Marabi Shamale, that he heard it from his teacher. The Ikadi Amri, and there are those who say that Sotah Shemli Rayav, Uvriso Hoidium, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that he knew firsthand or from his Rabbi, but rather it's because he was given this side, that this hint, that which was hidden, it was revealed to him. Darish Rabbi, why was Asa punished? He was able to go quickly, and all of a sudden he developed this terrible gout. Because he made Talmidei Chachamim have to work exceptionally hard. Says Rashi, Avodas HaMelech. Shenemar HaMelech Asa Heshmias Koil Yehuda. He heard about the voice, about all the Yehudim. Ein Naki, so my Ein Naki, not clean or innocent. Amar Yehuda Marav, I feel Chasin mi Chadroi v'Kal Mechupasai. And it says on the side, V'Koshkin Tim Chachamim. He even made a Chasin and Kal go to work. He didn't give them a second off. And this was having to move stones. So because he hadn't do all this hard work, he was punished. Ksiv, the pasuk says in Shoftim, V'Yered Shimshon Timnasa. So it mentions that Shimshon went down Timnasa. Ksiv Hini Chamich Oyla Timnasa. It says regarding his father-in-law, he went up to Timnasa. So did he go down or did he go up? Amar Rav Elazar Shimshon Shinizgana Ba, that Shimshon, who was embarrassed, Ksiv Yerida, he went down. Yehuda Shinis Alaba, however, when it says regarding Yehuda, he was elevated by Ksibe Aliyah. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar Shtei Timna'is Hayu. So, how do we understand? You go down, or does it mean you're going up? So again, one answer is Shimshon, that because he was embarrassed by it, it was like a Yerida. For Yehuda, he was elevated by it, so it's an Aliyah. However, a second answer is Pashut, that there's Shtei Timna'is Hayu. There was two different cities. Chad Berida, V'chad Bi'aliyah, one going up, one going down. Rapapo Eimer Chad Timnahaboy, it was one. Yasamahai Gis Yerida, Vasamahai Gis Aliyah. We're going one side of the city was going up, one part was going down. Kegoin Vardonya, which apparently is another example. So that's Rashi Shahaisa Yushevis Be'emsa Shipua. It was like on a slant. And that's the reason why part of it was going up, part of it was going down. Okay. And he gives the example like Vardoina Ube Bari, Venurash. Says Rashi, these are Ayaro cities, Hayoshim B'Shipua Harim, that are like on a slant of a mountain. So it depends of which direction you're coming from, basically. V'Shuka Derash. Then regarding Tamar, the pasuk says V'Tesha B'Pesach Einayim, that she was sitting by the opening. That she was actually sitting by the opening of where Avraham himself had pitched his tent. Makam shekol einayim seifos liroisai. It's a place where everyone sees. Rav Chanan Amar of Makim hu sheshmoi einayim. It just means it's referring to a place that's its name, einayim. V'cheinu oimer tapuach v'ha einom. So tapuach and einam is a location. There's Shmuel bar Nachmani oimer shenasna einayim lidvareha, that she placed her eyes to her words. It was an explanation. Kishetava, when she was claimed, Amrullah, he Yehuda said to her, Shema nachrasat, maybe you're not Jewish. Amrullah giyarasani, Shema eshes ishat, maybe you're married. No, Amrullah panuyani, Shema kibel bach avich kedushin, maybe your father already accepted kedushin. Amrullah yisaimani, so I don't have a father. Shema tameat, Amrullah tahayrani. So that's a place where she was giving all these explanations, and therefore she was also Tara from Nida. Rashi says, Giyarasani, ve'ena oivedes kachavim uruyulcha. I'm not an oived kachavim, therefore I'm fit to potentially be with you. Okay, question TB21. TB21. So he says, Ksiv v'yered shimshain timnasa. And then it's, so timnasa birida. And it says timnasa oila timnasa. So which one is it? So the answer is, as we see, there's three answers to this question. TB21. I got this 2/3 right. So either it means, it depends on the person. For Shimshon, it was a Yerida. For Yehuda, it was an Aliyah. Or that there are two different cities, or it's the same city, but it was like on a slant of a mountain. Fine. Okay. Weiter. So regarding Avraham, the pasuk says, "Vayita Eshel beBeersheva," that he planted this Eshel tree in Beersheva. So Amar Eshel Lakish Malam Shasa Pardes Venata Boy Kol Mini Megadim, that he actually planted a vineyard, and he planted for all the passers-by to benefit from them, all of its delicacies. Rabbi Yehuda bar Nechemia Chad Omer Pardes, that was like an orchard or vineyard. V'Chad Omer Punduk, it was actually a place, as Rashi, Lalun Shom Orchem, like a hotel for people to be able to sleep. Now Bishul Mamadi Omer Pardes, this garden, this orchard, Hainunus Viyita, he planted it. Elman Omer Punduk my Viyita. What do you mean he planted it? It's a house. Kedechse Viyita Ahale Apadnoi, that he planted the tent of his mansions, Gomer. So it doesn't literally mean he planted it, but as it's brought down in Sefer Daniel, that this is how the context sometimes of even building a house or a mansion or this hotel, you can use the language of like planting, like you broke ground in this area. Vayikra Sham b'Shem Hashem El Olam. Don't say that he called out to Hashem, as we continue to Yodam and Beis. Ela va'yakri, that he caused others to call out to Hashem. Melamed shehikri Avraham Avinu l'shmoi shel Kadosh Baruch Hu bepel kol oiver v'shav. He taught people about Hashem, and he caused people to call out to him, says Rashi, Limid lebrios likros sham b'shem Hashem el olam. He was able to teach people to be able to call out to Hashem. Ketzad, how did he do this? So after they had a big meal, they drank, they stood up to bless Avraham, thanking him for the delicious food. You think it's me? It's from Hashem, God. So Hodu v'shivchu varchu mishem v'hay olam. So they stood up, and that's what they did. They praised Hashem. And then the pasuk says, "Vayireha Yehuda v'yachshavehu zayna ki kisses upon." Very hard language. It says that Yehuda saw her and thought she was a zona because she covered up her face. She covered herself up, which is an act of modesty. It's fact the Gemara mishum to kisses upon chashul zayna. This is Gemara in other places. It doesn't make any sense. Because she covered herself up and she was modest, that's not what a Zayna does. So Amar Lezer means like this, that she covered her face up in her father-in-law's house. Notice he never recognized her before because she was always so modest. He didn't even know who she was. The Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Rav Yonasan kol kal sheitzanuya bebeis chamia. If a woman is modest in her father-in-law's house, you're going to merit great things, great children, kings and prophets. That coming from Tamar was Yeshayahu. Malachim mit David. She had David HaMelech. V'omer Rabbi Levi, Davar Zem Asaris B'Yadeinu Mi'Avosenu. This is a tradition. The Amoitz v'Amtzia Achim Havi. The Amoitz and Amtzia were actually brothers. Says Rashi, Aviv Shel Yeshayahu. The father of Yeshayahu, V'Amtzia Melech Yehuda Achim Hoyu. And Amsi, who was the king of Yehuda, were brothers. The Amsi Mezer David Hoya. Now, Amsa was from David's family. But Amoitz Achiv, and Amoitz, we're saying was his brother, Navi Hoya. Alma Neviim Nafik Mine. So we can see again that Neviim came from them. And then the pasuk says, He mutseis, he ti totseis miboile. It should say that she was forcefully taken out to her death, which again Rashi says, Lashon hoitza about karchahi mutzeis mashma lashon matzia. So Amar Rav Eliezer achar shenimsu simoneha, after she showed the different signs, his wallet, his walking stick, all these different things that was Yehuda's. But Samel, an angel came, v'richakon, and distanced them. But Gavriel v'kervan, and then Gavriel came and brought it together, closer. Lamatzech al yoinas eilim. This is a kapitel Tehillim on yoinas eilim, regarding the silent dove, the rechaikim leDavid. She was distance. David Michtam. So this pasuk, who is this? Is al iske harchaka shenasu simoneh rechaikim, because the simonim were put far away for this woman who is a yonis elim, which is referring to Tamar. Amrab Yochanan mishashnis rachku simoneha nasas kiyona ilemes leDavid Michtam shiatz mimenu. Okay. So what does that mean? That as soon as all the simonim were away, she didn't say anything. She was like an elam. She was silent. She didn't want to mention anything to Yehuda that it was him. David Michtam shatz mimenu David. David came from her shahaya mach v'tam l'choil, that he was a humble person. Davar acher Michtam shahaisa makasoi tama shenoiled mimenu mahu. That he was actually born complete. In other words, that he had a bris milah. Says Rashi, Makah milah shehu roy lamaka, the place where you're supposed to be hit, namely you're supposed to be cut, hayatam. The shalom was complete. Shul chutzrich l'chasroi. It didn't need to be minimized. Davar acher michtam kashem shebekatnuso hikdin atzmai eitzel mishigalim imenu lilmud Torah. Just like Bikatnusai, in one small, before he was a king, he minimized himself. Those compared to those who learned Torah, who were great. So Kach B'Gedulasai, he also did this in his greatness. Says Rashi, La'achar Shemolach, even after he was a king, he still remained humble. He didn't lose his humility. Then the pasuk says, "Vayhi shalcha el chamia." She was sent to her father-in-law, Leimar leisha sher eila, to one who these simonim belong to. Lu anoichi hara. Then he is the father who I'm pregnant. The Taimula Maimar. Why does he just say exactly who it is? Say it was Yehuda. So in this we have the very famous Gemara with so many names, because this is so important. We want to make sure the name is said properly. Omer Rav Zutra bar Tovi Omer Rav. The Yarmula Omer Rav Chana bar Bizna Omer Rabbi Shimon Chasida. The Yarmula Omer Rav Yochanan Misham Rabbi Shimon ben Yoichai. Better that a person should be thrown into a fiery furnace, is what was going to happen with Tamar, and not embarrass Yehuda. Therefore, she didn't say anything. So Manol and Matamar again went up from her. Haker no, please recognize this. So Rav Chama Rav Chanina behaker, with the notion of recognition, biser aviv, beheker bisiruhu, beheker biser. What does that mean? So beheker biser of the, says Rashi, shel of el aviv davar shnit steyerbo beheker bisiruhu haker na hakasayin bin chahi. So when it came to the difficulty of recognizing something, when it came to the ksonas pasim that was in blood, so Yaakov was told, I want you to hacker, recognize what this is. B'haker bisiruhu haker na lamina haker na lamina ena elal shebakasha armoli b'vakshim yimcha haker pnei baracha. Recognize Hashem, yal talim einecha. Do not hide your eyes. Mimeni from me. V'yaki Yehuda v'yomer sadke mimeni. So he basically admitted that he had violated. He was the father that was actually his child, and he had znus with Tamar. Haidid Yomer Rav Chanan bar Bizna Amar Rav Shimon Chasida Yosef shekid Shem Shemaim b'seiser. So Yosef, he was mekadosh Shem Shemaim privately. Zacha v'hoisiv ois achas mishmo shel Kodesh Baruch Hu. So Yosef was given an extra name, an extra letter in his name. Dechsev Edis b'Yehosef Shemo. So we see that Yosef was actually added an extra letter of Hashem, which is the Hey. Yehuda shekid Shem Shemaim of Harhesia. But Yehuda actually did more. He was mekadosh publicly. He acknowledged, I sinned, which is a great schus to admit to it. Zachav and Ikra Kul al Shemo shel Kodesh Baruch Hu. Yehuda, of course, has all of Hashem's names, the Yud, the Hey, Vav, and the Hey, all in his name. Kivan shahayda v'amar sadke mimeni yatsa baskal v'amar atah hitsalta Tamar u'shnei boneha min ha'or. You have saved Tamar and her two children, because she was actually pregnant, as we said at the time, with twins. So min ha'or. Chayecha shani matzel b'schusa gimel mibonecha min ha'or. Since you spared Tamar and two others, which is three, on the fire, in the future your descendants will be spared by fire, three of them. My ninhu Chananya, Mishael, and Azariah, that they were thrown into the Kivshan Eish in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, and they were spared. Sadke mimani mana yada. How did he know? It was her. So Yatza Baskal v'amar mimani. It said from me. Yatza Kavushim. So they went out and concealed the matter. V'lo Yosef oid l'data. It says that I did not know her anymore. Amar Shmuel Saba Chamua. The Rav Shmuel Bar Ami Mishmei the Rav Shmuel Bar Ami Kivan Shiyad. Once he had tashmish with her, Shuvlu Pasik Mimena. He did he did continue with her. Ksiv hachavu asav oidlo data. Ksiv hasam kol gad v'yasaf. Okay. So look at Rashi. Kavushim devarim alumim shenigzur molfana v'yetzim zemelachim v'yevshu latzes el Yehuda. Okay. Fine. So let's look at question 10, which is the only question here. Mi mechuna b'mikra shefifoin, which is someone who had the difficulty. He was totally lame. That was Shimshon. And mi mechuna yonas elam, the woman who was like a dove who was silent, the silent dove. That's referring to Tamar. Okay. Weiter. Let's continue a little bit more. Avshalom nisga'eh b'tsarai v'chu. So Avshalom, he was showing off with his beautiful hair, so therefore he was punished with his hair. Talking about Avshalom, the Tsar Marad, he rebelled with his hair. Shenemer ukav shalom ohaya ish yafe, the Gaimer, there's no more beautiful than him. V'galcha es roisho, the Gaimer, regarding the cutting of his hair. Ohaya yomim, yomim asher galeach, and then annually he would cut his hair. He covered a love because it was very thick. The gilchu, and again he shaved it. The shakal esar rosho, and he would weigh the hair. Mosayim shkolim be'evan hamelech. So again, he had very beautiful and extravagant hair, and Again, that was his downfall. Tana Evan She'anshe Tveri Vanshi Sipori Shoikun Ba. There's a stone that the people in Tveri and Sipori weigh with it. Lafikach Natla Bitsaro. Because of that, he was hung by his hair. Shnemer the Yikari Avshalom Ifnei Avde David of Avshalom Reichiv al Pered, who's riding on his animal. The Yabul HaPered Tachas Shoivach Elah G'dayla, and it stopped by underneath this elm tree. Ve'achiz roishai be'ela, and his hair got stuck into this elm tree. Ve'yutan bein hashemayim bein arts. He was like hanging and dangling between the earth and the heavens and the sky. Ve'pered asher tachtav avar, and the donkey, this animal, just continued going. So in other words, he was not that the animal was below him holding his weight. Shakal Safsira Ba with Lemisake. So it says that he took out his sword because he wanted to be able to cut it off. So this way he'll be able to be freed. At that moment, the Gehenna was actually like opened up from below. Vayirgaz Hamelech Vayal al Elias Hashar Vayev. They cried the Choy Omer Belechtoi Beno Avshalom Beni Avshalom Mitin Musi Ani Tachtecha Avshalom Beni. Keeps saying the word Beni over and over. David speaking regarding his son Avshalom. La'atas Panav wrapped his face. Vayizak Hamelech Kol Gadol. He cried Beni Avshalom Beni. So if you count all the times it says this in this pasuk, Hanitamnia Beni Lama, what is David doing crying 8 times and saying the word Beni over and over? Hashem knows it's his son. So Shiva, 7 of the times, is the Aske Meshiva Midar Gehenim. Because there's actually 7 levels of Gehenna. There's like 7 levels of heaven. There's 7 levels of Gehenna that he should be lifted up. Each time he said Beni, that he should be lifted up from one of the levels of Gehenna. V'idach ikadi amri dekariv reishil gabi guve. One says that his head, which apparently became decapitated, it fell off because of this hanging, that it should go back to his body. V'ikadi amri de asil almad asi, that he should be zaycha to Olam haba, to the world to come. Okay. Let's actually stop there, but I think we have maybe one more question. Let's quickly take a look. Perhaps TA 20, which I got right. Ma hoyel David b'zeh shedok ches pamim b'ni al elav shalom. They kept crying to his son 8 times about his son that died. So 7 that he should be lifted up from Gehenna. 1 is either his head should go back to his body, or that he should be zaycha to Olam Da'asi to Olam Haba. Adkan.